Good evening. Hello. Can you hear me? Vincent Kelly is my name. Thank you so much for coming to my webinar tonight virtually from wherever you are. And I will first of all say hello to anybody who's on Facebook. We're going live on Facebook, on YouTube, on Instagram. So for anybody on those networks, hello. And if you have anything that you want to ask about the webinar tonight, any comments, questions, pop them into the chat, because I've got somebody who's keeping an eye on those platforms. For everybody on Zoom, I've got two people there, Andrea and Donna. Thank you very much for joining me tonight. You have got a direct line to me, and in fact, you're the only persons I can see on the webinar. I can't see the other things, but I've got you there. So if you've any direct questions for me tonight, pop them into the chat. So, to begin with, I'll just introduce myself, and I then will ask you where you're logging in from. Okay? So I'm originally from Kildare, and if you're not from Ireland, that's a county just kind of in the southeast Midlands. It's famous for horse racing and flat land, and Christy Moore, famous singer. And so I grew up in a farming area. I'm not a farmer myself, nor are my parents, but we grew up in that kind of environment. So I grew up around farms. But then at a certain point I decided, you know what, I'm going to go to Dublin. I'm going to start studying, and I just picked personnel management as part of the business studies course. So I did that. Thought to myself, you know what, there must be something out there that can help the people I love. So I went traveling. I ended up in Germany, and in Germany I came across this book, Dianetics. Dia means true, and netics means the mind. Dianetics. I came across it in Munich in Germany in 1992, and used it to help other people first, which was kind of wise. I thought, you know what, I'll try this on somebody else first. That was a bit cheeky of me. I'll try it on somebody else first to see does it work, and then I'll try it on myself. So anyway, did that. It helped others. I thought, this is amazing. It actually works. And then I thought, well, maybe it'll help me too, because I was very shy and stressed and worried and nervous and all this type of stuff. And so it really helped me as well. And so since 1992, probably full-time in 1993, I've been promoting this one subject. And the reason for that is because it works. And not because it's the most fancy theory in the world. Maybe it's not the best theory in the whole world. I don't know. Maybe there are better theories out there. But this works. And I like practicality. If you ask my wife, Vincent, what does Vincent like as birthday gifts and as Christmas gifts? She'll always say he likes something practical. Like, she got me a water bottle as a gift some time back, and I love this. Just a water bottle. It's an insulated. It acts like a flask. But I like practical things, and I like to see things working practically. If somebody is approaching me with a theory and says, Vincent, you know what? This and that is going to create a great effect and so forth, and if you do this, you're going to blah, blah, blah. Okay, great. If it works and it's stable, perfect. But if it's just going to give me like a minute or two of happiness and then I'm back to square one again, I don't know. It's just a kind of a fad for me. This stuff, I stuck with it for over 30 years now, simply because it works. So that's a little bit about me. So I'm married, I've got 2 kids, and I have 3 cats, one of which is pregnant, and a stray that we took in. But we didn't realize the cat was a stray until we brought it in, and then we realized the cat's pregnant, and now we're going to have another 4 cats in a couple of weeks, which there's no room for. Now the whole house is going to be full of cats. Every time I walk in my house, there's cats. Thankfully, I love cats. So let me just ask you for just to find out who you are. And as I said, I can only see the people on Zoom. So if you don't mind, would you please pop into the chat and just type in where you're from or where you're logging in from? That would be fantastic. And if you want to put in your I don't know, something interesting about yourself as well. You can, but you don't have to. All right? You don't have to. So just put in the chat where you're logging in from. And I don't know, give me something interesting about yourself. Something about yourself that, I don't know, do you like eating pizza, or do you like, I don't know, riding your bike? Anything. Pop it in there. I just want to kind of get a feel for who I have. Donna, logging in from Kilkenny. Donna, thank you so much for joining me tonight. The Kilkenny Cats. The Kilkenny Cat. I haven't been in Kilkenny very much. I just know they used to always win the hurling. I don't know if it's always the case. It's still the case. And anybody from the UK, if you don't know what hurling is, it's a big stick where you hit a ball, a very hard ball around the pitch. Thank you, Donna. Freedom. Love your name. Logging in from Canada. Well, thank you so much for joining us the whole way from Canada. It's not too far away digitally, but it's quite a long way physically. So thank you so much for being here. Mick, thank you for being here again at the webinar. From Bray, I know by heart where you're from, and for having your camera on, thank you. And anybody else who wants to have your camera on too, please feel free to do so. You don't have to, but you can if you like. So thank you, Mick. James from Accrington in UK. James, my knowledge of UK is because I have a lot of family that moved to the UK. They were all builders. All my dad and all his family were builders. They moved to the UK in the 50s. So London, I'm familiar with. So where is Accrington in relation to London? Like I know Birmingham and Brighton and so forth, but where is it? Is it up? Is it east? Is it west? That would be great. So I have an idea. Andrea from Dublin. Hiya, Andrea. Great to have you here tonight. And I am logging in here from Dublin, in between Burhouse and Tala. That's where I am. James, in between Manchester and Leeds. Wonderful. Excellent. Thank you so much. Right, folks, let us launch straight in. Now, as I mentioned, this particular webinar is a practical webinar, and I really appreciate you poking in your comments here, because throughout the webinar I might ask you for examples, and if you don't mind participating, it would be great. You don't have to, but I would really appreciate it if you did. It helps me on the webinar as well, because if it goes quiet, I just feel awkward, but that's just me. Okay, so let's launch into this webinar on burnout. Now, when we're talking about this thing about burnout, okay, we're talking about, if you look this up in the dictionary, I looked up the dictionary on this just to find out the exact definition: physical exhaustion, mental exhaustion, motivational exhaustion. So burnout is a situation where a person is physically, mentally, or motivationally burnt out, exhausted, where they just don't feel like doing anymore, they get stressed out, not a very positive attitude, and so forth. If you are exhausted mentally, physically, and motivationally, it's going to affect your fitness, it's going to affect your relationship, it's going to affect your ability to do your job, how you get on with your kids, family life, your charity work. It affects everything. Okay, so Vincent, we know that. Get on with it. We also know that in life, and now I'm going to expose you to my art. I'm sorry, folks. My art is just bad. That's the extent of my art. I went to French instead of art. I think I probably should have chosen art, but I chose French. But anyway, there's no harm in learning French, but I never got to use it. Whereas art would have come in so handy. If you want to get along in life, there's a couple of factors that you need. Okay? You need a fair degree of intelligence. You need to be pretty smart. You don't need to have to be able to read books backwards, but you need to have a fair degree of intelligence, and you also need to have drive. You need to be able to drive yourself, so you have to have both of those. Now, if you're very intelligent, but you've got no drive, it's not going to really get you very far. You might have lots of ideas about things, but you never get it done. If you've got a lot of drive, but very poor intelligence, you really push forward in life, but you can make a lot of mistakes. So obviously the correct balance is to have good intelligence and good drive. And there's actually a formula about how that relates to a person's value in the beginning of this book called Dianetics, which I'm going to be promoting to you at the end. So it explains the relationship between those two factors. So you know this. You need to be smart and you need to have drive, but you need to have a balance of the two. You can't have, like, you're completely intelligent, but you're so lazy you don't get anything done. Or you're really driven, but you just run straight into walls. So there has to be a good intelligence and a good drive. Right. Okay, now you'll see me referring down here. My head goes down to my notes because I prepared a webinar for you last night. And then today I decided I'm going to scrap it. I'm changing it. So I've created a new one. So you'll see me looking down at my notes throughout the webinar. Okay? Because I haven't memorized it as much as I would normally. Okay, now the thing about burnout is that it is generally temporary. Okay, so burnout is temporary because if you're completely burnt out, that is kind of similar to saying a person's like no longer alive. So you're not, even though you might feel burnt out, you're not totally burnt out. There is still a little flame, and what we're going to do tonight is ignite that flame through a bit of knowledge. We're going to ignite that flame a little bit. That's what we're going to do in this webinar. Okay, now let me just get back to my art. Okay, in terms of burnout, there are external factors, which I'm just going to touch off, but I'm not going to get into. Okay, external factors means, for example, critical people. Okay, if you have somebody in your life who constantly puts you down, says you're no good, ridicules you, makes you feel smaller, it is going to have an effect on your motivation, and you're going to feel it. Okay? And then the second point here is overwhelm. Okay? What that means is you're just taking on too much, or life is too much for you, you have too many bills, you have too many problems with your kids, and your wife is threatening to leave you, and the kids won't talk to you, and the work is falling behind, and you might lose your job, and then the car won't work, and you have to paint the sitting room. Just too much. So if there's too much on your plate, it's going to result, and it can result in this feeling of burnout. Now, those are the external factors. I'm going to not really get into these because I've got something much more interesting to look at. But at the end of this webinar, I'm going to promote this little booklet here called Solutions for a Dangerous Environment. And it basically gives tools that you can use in order to deal with these type of situations. Let me see if I can show you this right up to the camera. You see in the top picture a guy being totally overwhelmed with work. And then it goes over the steps that you take in order to help somebody to get on top of their problems in life and so forth. Anyway, I just wanted to touch off that. That's not the main thing I want to go over with you tonight. What we're going to go over tonight is the effect of burnout, the cause of burnout, and what you ultimately need to do to clear up the root and help prevent it going forward. All right, so let me just draw another version of this famous matchstick man. And by the way, if you have any questions as we're going along, please let me know. You can pop it into the chat. And I'm going to ask you a question now in a minute. So pay attention, if you don't mind. You might have one eye on my webinar and one eye on the football game. If you can do that, and you can still absorb the information, I don't mind. Do I? I don't know. Maybe I do, maybe I don't. Okay, so let's have a look at this then. So I'm going to draw a different version of the body. Okay, this looks more like the Marshmallow Man from Ghostbusters. Okay, but that is the body. So I'm going to ask you a couple of questions. The first question is, when you feel burnout, what are the effects on your body? What do you feel in the body? And put your answer into the chat. When you feel burnout, what is the effect on your body? Do you get pains? Do you get headaches? Do you get a nervous feeling in your body? Do you get extreme tiredness? What is the physical sensation, the physical pain, the physical discomfort, or the physical soreness? What kind of sorenesses, discomforts, pains, sensations do you get in the body when you feel burnout? Could you please pop it into the chat and I'll have a look. Okay, very good. So Donna, fatigue. All right, we're probably going to put fatigue. We'll put fatigue up here, okay? Fatigue. Yeah, your body feels like it's double its weight and you just can't get going. You're just so dragging yourself around the house. Understood. Thank you, Donna. Lethargy, James, same kind of thing. Fatigue, yeah. Anxious energy. Okay, so we'll just draw this down here. We'll put nervous. The body can get nervous. Okay, I think that will cover it. Anxious energy. Freedom Jones basically makes my already messed up nervous system even more messed up. So again, nervousness. Okay, we'll put this nervousness here. Okay, good. Anybody else? So ranging from extreme body pain. Okay. All right, what are we going to get? Let's put some pain in here. Physical pain. All right. Anything else? No appetite. Hypervigilance. I don't know what that means. I've never heard of the word hypervigilance. Freedom, would you pop down the definition of hypervigilance? I've never heard of it. Those kind of things would be great. Feeling sick. Okay, and then feeling sick. Right, and then Nick, for last month I was house training my dog, made out to be happy to have 1 hour alone time in my flat. I want to train now. Working well. It was worth putting in time, but I felt drained. Got it. Thank you very much, Nick. So then probably fatigue would fit in there. Okay. Thank you very much, folks, for your help. So interestingly, when you feel burnout, you're getting all these physical things happening to your body. And nervousness, pains, fatigue, what we've got, a feeling of sickness, body pains. Okay, so now, let's just park that for the moment. Next question is this one. Okay, so we've got body here. Now let's have a look at emotion. Okay, when you feel burnout, what emotions do you feel when that is happening? Oh, freedom. Hypervigilance is a condition in which the nervous system is inaccurately filtering sensory information and the individual is in an enhanced state of sensory sensitivity. I got it. Okay, so it's trying to kind of like basically kind of over anxious, over kind of hyped up over things. Thank you, Freedom. Okay, so next question is, when you feel burnout, what are the emotions you feel? We're not talking about body now, we're talking about emotions. Do you feel angry, sad, worried, afraid? Do you feel antagonistic? Do you feel apathetic? Do you feel grief or sadness? What are the emotions that you feel when you're experiencing burnout? If you just pop that into the chat, that would be fabulous. James. Okay, so I've got a few of them here. Let's pop them in red. Okay, now how do we put overwhelmed as an emotion? I can't quite fit that one in yet. Let's put in this one here, the ones that you came up with. Anger, panic, and the last one you popped in there was worry. Yeah, very good. Okay, so these are emotions that kick in when a person is experiencing burnout. Interesting. Okay, James, and then grief. Okay, thank you. Sometimes emotions are completely blunted, others just sadness. Okay, and blunted meaning no feeling. No feeling, just feel nothing. Okay, anybody else? Thank you very much for that, Donna, James. Anybody else want to contribute? But anyway, we have a good few here. So these are the emotions that you feel when you're experiencing burnout. Andrea, disappointment. Okay. Very good. Okay. Now, okay, so now we're going to get to the sequence of what's going on. So when you start feeling this stuff when you're burnt out, and you start feeling these emotions when you're burnt out, there is something that comes before that. Okay, thank you very much, Mick. Tiredness, okay? Feeling tired, that probably fits in here, but yeah, okay? All right, good, thank you. There's something more important than these two. I know this might seem a bit weird, but bear with me. This is number 3, and this is, we call this the body, or we can call it effort, okay? Because you use your body to make things happen, you know, clean the house and whatever. Number 2 is emotion. Okay. But number 1 is thought. Okay. The gentleman who wrote this book, Ron Hubbard, right? He delivered a set of lectures, and in the lectures he explains that thought is boss. Thought is king. Thought is boss. Okay? So we have a guy and he has a thought. Alright. Thought is boss. Your thinking affects your emotion. Your emotion affects your body. Okay. So when we're looking at burnout, we're not going to look at the effects, we're going to look at the cause and how to handle that going forward. I'll give you a couple of examples of this. If you wake up in the morning and you think, you know something, this is your decision. It's going to be a good day today. What's going to happen is your emotion is going to be more positive. You'll be more interested. And your body is probably going to be more, you're going to be more able to control it, more able to do things with it. Whereas if you wake up in the morning and you think, oh, today is just going to be a nightmare. Okay, just a light little thought. The thought is going to affect the emotion. At the end of that hour, or maybe a couple of hours later, you're going to start to feel a bit like, oh, what's the point? A bit of apathy, or maybe even anger. And then your body is going to start following that emotion. So when we're looking at burnout, we're not particularly, you are well aware of these things, but what I want to show you tonight is the thing that causes it in the first place and causes it to persist. Yes, there are external factors, like too much work, or you're drained, or your boss is always giving out to you, your wife is harassing you, or you're harassing your wife, or whatever it is. Okay? There are external factors, but this is the primary cause of burnout from my experience in helping people over the last 30 years. Thought, you're thinking. So now, you've got this. I'm going to get rid of this because we're not going to be looking at this particularly. These are symptoms of how you feel physically and emotionally when you're experiencing burnout. So, let me just get rid of this. And if you have any questions or comments and you want to put them in, pop them into the comment section and I will answer your questions as we're going along. I might do a quick Q&A at the end if you want. If you have any personal questions that you want to ask me, we can do that at the very end if you like. But if you have something that you want to ask, please pop it into the chat. Okay, so now, as I said, Your thought, leads to emotion, leads to the body, okay? Now, I had some practical example here, did I? I wrote it down here. Oh, I had another example. If you think to yourself, I'm a complete failure, and guess what you just think? Now, it might only be for a split second, or you might repeatedly tell yourself that during the day, I'm a complete failure. Just thinking, the emotion is going to follow, and the body is going to follow. So if you think to yourself, I'm a failure, the emotion is not going to be enthusiasm. It's not going to be happiness or interest. It's going to be something like upset or worry or stress, or it's going to be anger. And then your body is going to suffer from your emotion. Often, and there's a really good chapter in this book, it's called Psychosomatic Illnesses. Psycho means the mind, somatic means the body. And in this it explains that 70% of body problems come from this, which stems from this. Very, very interesting. Okay. All right, so thought. If your mind is in good condition, your thoughts are generally going to be quite clear, and your emotion is probably going to be the same, and your body would probably be in a better condition. Now, this is not a let's think positive webinar. I'm only interested in helping you get to the root of the issue, because if you get to the root, it really tackles things. It's like if you have a pain in your leg, right? You take a pain in your leg and you take pills for it. You take, I don't know, the usual pills that you get. You keep taking pills so you don't feel the pain in your leg anymore, but it's not really a fix. It's just a cover-up job. So me trying to tell you, oh, just think positive every day, without really looking at the root of it, is kind of covering it up a little bit. And I'm not saying that positive thinking is bad, I encourage it, but you need to get to the root as well. Right. Okay. Can I just ask, before I continue, with just a thumbs up or some sort of a comment, are you still with me, or have I lost you? Just let me know with either a thumb up or a wavy hand or a smiley face in the chat. Have I still got you? Are you still here, or have you left the room? Donna, you're here. Thank you. Thank you for staying, Donna. I checked these halfway. Andrea, great. Nick, you're still here. Excellent. Good. Excellent. Vivian, thank you so much. And hello, Vivian, by the way. And Remy, great to have you as well. Very good. Okay, thank you, folks. Okay. The way you think and how well you think is determined by how well you examine the present and how well you examine your past. So, for example, if my wife wants me to cook dinner, she says, Vincent, I'm always cooking. I want you to cook dinner tonight. So I'm going to observe. I'm going to go, all right, okay, let's see what's in the fridge. Let's see, from an observation of her, what does she want to eat? So I need to examine the present. And then I also need to look at the past to work out, what can I cook? And I have a limited set of skills when it comes to cooking. Very limited. Okay? So I look in the past and I go, okay, well, I've learned how to do a really good burger. All right? I actually know how to do that. It's not very hard, really. But I know how to do a really good burger, and I know she likes it because my past has told me that every time I give her these burgers, she actually loves it. So I'm going to get her a burger with all the toppings, and she's going to love it. So when you're making a decision and when you're coming up with a conclusion, I can do that. I can make a burger. I can do this. I'm not a failure. I can cook a dinner for my wife. You're examining present time. Okay, and you're also examining your past. Okay, now when I talk about your past, I'm talking about everything that you have stored in your mind And your mind, to keep it very simple, is simply a collection of your memories that you can see when you close your eyes and you try and remember something from the past. That's what your mind is. It's a collection of memories from your past. This is personal opinion, okay? Not to step on anybody's toes. Why would I do that? I'm such a nice guy, I'd never step on somebody's toes. But there are some theories which will tell you that all your emotions, everything about you, everything you feel, everything you think, everything has to do with the lump of meat in your skull called the brain and the chemicals that all spin around, and that's everything about you. And as your brain is everything. And these people, what they will do is they will say, no problem, you're unmotivated, you're feeling all these symptoms, I feel for you, so what we're going to do is we're going to put you on a drug for 6 weeks just to try it out, and then you get hooked on the drug. Or they might say, oh well, you have a disorder, and that disorder is called I can't motivate myself at all disorder. Or it could be burnout disorder. In other words, stick you with a label without giving you a solution, and then you think there's something wrong with you. I'm not a follower of that philosophy at all. Never was. Even before I got involved in this, I've seen people going to these people for advice and coming out hooked on drugs. And I just don't like it. It's just silly. I feel better telling you about the more traditional approaches that we've had for thousands of years. Okay. Your mind is a collection of memories from your past. So, here we are going to stop now and give an example. I want you to do me a favor. Right now, I want you to recall a happy memory from your past and pop it into the chat. I don't care what it is. It could be yesterday, it could be when you were 6, it could be getting married, it could be your first kiss, it could be your degree, so it doesn't matter. Recall a happy memory that you have, a time when you were happy, and pop it into the chat. Recall a time when you were happy and pop it into the chat. Yeah, exactly, Nick. When your mind is healthy and working well, you do generally feel good. Right? And there's more to it, but we'll get into that. But you're right, I would agree. So, recall a moment when you were happy. Pop it into the chat. Was it riding a bike? Was it your birthday? Was it, I don't know, eating dinner today, having breakfast, going to the beach, going to work? Donna, spending time with good people. Wonderful. Now I asked you that and you were able to come up with it straight away. That is simply a recording from your past and you have just looked at your mind. Alright, Mick, walking up green fields and talking to animals. Fantastic. Again, you got a picture of that. That is your mind. A picture in your mind. Donna, getting a gift. Beautiful. Donna, they're coming fast and quick. You get a gift, you remember it, it's a picture in your mind. That's your mind. James, taking my kids to see animals at the farm. Wonderful. And when you think about that, you can feel it again. You feel the happiness and it brings delight. Wonderful. That is your mind. If your mind is in good condition, and by the way, thank you very much, folks. I genuinely appreciate that. If your mind is in good condition, your decisions and your conclusions are going to be in good condition. And if your decisions are in good condition, and your conclusions are in good condition, and your thoughts are in good condition, your emotion is going to be in better condition, and your body is going to follow that. So where's the problem? Why is it that I feel this muddiness? Why is it that I feel nervousness, tiredness, worry, anxiety, and this kind of big lump of black blah 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 over me? Why do I feel that? Vincent, if what you say is true, then I should be a happy individual. So why is it that I feel this weight, this messing with my thinking and I just don't feel good? Why is it that I'm not in control of my emotions? And I'm going to tell you why. And by the way, you learn more about this. There's a chapter in this book, and it's called The Cell and the Organism, okay? And it explains a lot more in detail about what I'm going to go over with you right now. And by the way, I'm just touching here in this webinar on some of the most important points I wanted to get through, but the rest of it is all explained in the book here, okay? Now, your mind is like a fantastic computer. Unlimited storage. Brilliant. However, there is a section of this mind which stores two things. Number one is physical pain. You don't have to write this on the chat, but if you ever had an accident, or if you ever fell off a tree, or you were knocked down by a car, or you broke a leg, or you got your wisdom teeth out, or you had to have surgery, or you had a baby, or you had a miscarriage, or I don't know, something happened to you physically, that physical pain is so intense that it turns out the lights here, and the information from the incident gets stored in a separate compartment. So, for example, if you fell off a ladder, okay, you bang your head, in that incident, there's going to be pain, stress, and unconsciousness. Partial or full unconsciousness. So if you fall off a ladder, you might not get fully knocked out, but just for a split second, the lights go out and the information gets stored in here underneath the surface. Bear with me. You're going to see how this relates to burnout in a few minutes, okay? We're getting there. Come on, Vincent, hurry up. Give me the solution. Okay, the second thing that is stored in this section is emotional pain. Just like physical pain, if there's too much emotional pain, the lights go out, the information gets stored in here. So for example, if you lose a grandparent, okay, that upset, the impacted upset gets stored in here in this separate compartment of the mind. Okay, now in Dianetics, there is a name we have for this mind, and it's called the reactive mind. And the reason it's called reactive is because you have no control over it. External things will trigger it off and replay the incident to try and prevent you from getting into the same situation again. And when the incident gets replayed, you're going to feel that pain again. You're going to feel the unconsciousness. You're going to feel the tiredness, the sensations in your body. They get replayed without you even realizing it. Okay, I'll give you two examples. Before I do, I wrote down some really good ones. Okay, let's say the physical pain incident was you were in a car crash when you were 15, okay? And you banged your head very badly off the windscreen, and for a couple of seconds you were unconscious. Okay, that's stored here, age 15, buried here, okay? Now, you're now 20, and you decide you'd like to learn how to drive a car. All right? So you go to the car driving place. Okay, this is a very special type of car. That is a car. Okay, that's the back of the car. That's a car. You decide you want to go for some driving lessons. However, the way this reactive mind works is designed to automatically steer you away from things that it thinks is the same situation again. The problem with this reactive mind is it doesn't think clearly. So you're on your way to your driving lessons, you're sitting down waiting, and the guy pulls up in the car and says, "Ready? Are you ready to hop in?" Unfortunately, it's a red car, and the car you were crashed in was also a red car. The driver had a moustache back here, and the driving instructor has a moustache as well. So to the reactive mind, it's the same situation. So what it's going to do is it's going to try and steer you away to protect you from what it thinks is a dangerous situation happening again. And if you don't go, what's going to happen? It's going to start replaying the incident again. It's going to replay the pain, it's going to replay the nervousness, and it's going to replay the tiredness that you had back then in order to try to, quote-unquote, protect you. And all this is happening without you even realizing it. So you're at the car test center, and you feel, oh, I don't know, I just feel really tired. Oh, I didn't take my vitamins today, that was it. No, it's not. It was this. Or, I'm feeling a headache. I always get headaches. My mother used to get headaches. No, it's this. Or, I don't know, I feel nervous, but sure, I always feel nervous around these things, and it's a car test after all. No, it's coming from this. Something buried. Now, if you knew what it was, it wouldn't be affecting you. What I'm talking about here are things that you're not aware of, that you don't know about, that you need to find and clear out. You need to clear it up. Let's take one more example before I ask you for an example. Let's say you're in a relationship and, let's take this one here. Okay, so let's take this one. Guy age 10 loses his granddad. Okay, loses his granddad. At the time, he felt very, very sad, worried, and he felt very semi-conscious as well. Kind of just very tired and dopey. But now, here we are, age 25. Okay. Here we are, age 25. And that was his granddad that died. And his dad is not doing well. Okay? His dad is sick and not doing well. The reactive mind doesn't see the difference between the present and the past. It's designed to automatically react to keep you away from pain. So what it goes is, okay, same person. It's the same person. So what we need to do is steer you away. But you can't steer away because it's your dad. So what the reactive mind does is it replays that incident to try and protect you, sort of, and gives you the same sorrow, the same stress, the same pain that you had in the past. This might seem unbelievable. And you might say, Vincent, what has this to do with burnout? It has a lot to do with burnout. Because as I mentioned, those physical symptoms that you get, those emotional symptoms that you get, are coming from the mind and from your thinking. This reactive mind is affecting your thinking without you even realizing it under the surface. How do we know that? We know that because once you clear up this stuff, these things just tend to disappear. These problems, and you become more alert, more awake, and just more yourself. So, here is the next exercise for you, if you don't mind. I know I have you working hard tonight. Can you give me an example of one thing that triggers you? One thing that triggers you, makes you stressed out, makes you lose your temper, makes you get sad, makes you worry. One thing that you're aware of that stresses you out. Is it conflicting people, arguments, going for a test? Put in the chat an example of one thing that you have observed that triggers you and causes you to react. And then we're going to go into what we need to do to start tackling it. Okay, and then, so let me just see. Mick, when it becomes cloudy, pull you down into that black hole. Everything seems worthless and the demons take away all the inspiration to write anything happy. You only write dark stuff. All you feel is helpless and fear. Yeah, precisely. But that's all that is. You might think, that's part of my personality. This fear and stress. All it is something buried getting triggered, or a series of things, and they have to be uncovered. Okay? A good example, Donna, confrontation. Very good. So you have somebody in your life and they're going, yeah. You know, you're the worst person in the world, they hate you. Good. Anybody else want to give an example of one thing that triggers you off, that causes you to get stressed, or causes you to lose your temper, or causes you to worry? Getting annoyed. Good. Good. So now, is there something that causes you to get annoyed? So that would be you getting annoyed, or you mean somebody else getting annoyed? Is that what you mean, Mick? Okay, that's you getting annoyed. So that would be you getting triggered. But what's the external thing that you're aware of that can cause you to get triggered? That's the thing. Judgment. Thank you, Donna. Yeah, good. Somebody looking down on you, or you don't quite fit in around here, or whatever. Good example. Anybody else want to give an example of one thing that triggers you and causes you to get stressed? Is it arguments? Is it dogs barking? Is it, nighttime? Is it, whatever. Okay, dokie. I'm just going to read your thing there again. Some people I know, kids. That's okay. That's the problem. Poured in a decade ago. Aha! Yes, I got it. Okay. Thank you, James. So basically, life problems kicking in. So you're trying to deal with stuff every day. And what's happening is that you're carrying around this stuff, these losses, these failures, these upsets, this pain, and you're trying to deal with it in present time, and it's quite hard. Because every time you turn around, you're looking at a bill, or you're looking at somebody saying, will you give me extra money for the kids? It just keeps triggering this stuff. If that was cleared up, there'd be nothing to trigger. You'd be like, okay, I had all these experiences. Life is in me today, and I'm going to make my tomorrow. But you see, the problem is, with this reactive mind, is that it stores this stuff and it holds on to this stuff to kind of protect you. And it's also buried. So it has to be dug up and cleared up properly. So thank you, James. Thank you, Mick. Thank you, Donna. Excellent examples. Okay, so how do we handle this? Because one of the biggest things and the biggest effects that these bad experiences in the reactive mind have is they affect your vitality, and they affect your energy level, and they affect your drive, which is the number one thing that you need. As I mentioned, you need good intelligence and good drive. These things ruin your intelligence and they ruin your drive. They hold on to your drive and keep it packaged away. So, what do we do? Now, there's two things. There's the external aspect and there's the internal aspect. So let's go over the external stuff first. And by the way, if anybody has any questions, please pop them into the chat. Okay. So, as I mentioned, you've got all these pressures coming at you. Overwhelm, problems, negativity, confrontation, somebody looking down on you. You've got all these things coming down, which can definitely affect your mood, and it can definitely affect your motivation and can contribute to burnout, that's for sure. Now, this is a booklet I'm going to promote at the end. It's called Solutions for a Dangerous Environment. There are 8 tools in this book, and they address the following. I'm going to mention a couple of these things to you just as a tip to get you started. There's more in the booklet and exactly how you do it and how to go about it, right? I'm going to skip number 1. Number 2, don't read the newspapers for 2 weeks and see if you don't feel better. Now, nowadays, people don't read the newspapers as much. It's mainly online stuff. But if you start reading the news, listening to the news every day, 9 o'clock news, the 10 o'clock news, listen to on the radio, you will find it has an effect. So that's the first one. Now, read the newspaper for a week, and at the end of that week, you will find you will feel worse. Then make up your mind whether or not you ought to pay any attention to the newspapers. So, here's the tool. Don't read the newspapers for 2 weeks. And that also translates to, don't listen to the news. Like, I'm not trying to tell people to become don't keep up with current affairs. But there's so much bad news on the news. A lot of it you could do without, right? And also on the internet, there's so much negativity. Just skip it, all right? So you try that for 2 weeks. At the end of that 2 weeks, then you go back on it. Go back listening to the news. Go back reading all these articles on the internet, reading all these news stories on Yahoo about the bad news, bad. And see how you feel. You'll probably find you feel worse. And then you make up your mind whether you should pay any attention to those things. And the reason for that is just trying to handle some of the external stuff, right? You don't need that negativity. Okay, next one. Take a walk. There's a certain way you do it. It's very, very easy. Here's another one. This is number 7. It's a really, really good one. Knock off some of those things in your life that makes you upset. Knock off some of those things in your life that make you upset. So, for example, if you watch a horror movie before you go to bed every night, and during the night you have nightmares, don't watch horror movies. So you list down the things in your life that make you feel worse and knock them out. Just don't do them for a while and see how you feel better. Okay? There's another little section here. And then what you do is, what things in your life, there's also a section about people as well, not associating with certain people that upset you, etc. But anyway, we'll go over that at some point when you get the book. What things in your life aren't really a threat to you? So you find the things in your life that are not a threat to you, associate with those, pay more attention to them. So the things that make you feel good, maybe you like to paint, maybe you like to go for walks, maybe there's a certain friend that brings you up when you talk to them, maybe you like going to, music concerts, maybe you like going to the cinema, maybe you like working a bit harder. If those things that make you feel good, pay more attention to those, okay? So there's lots of other things here. There's 8 tools altogether, and it's really, really practical stuff that you can apply on an immediate basis. What I've just mentioned to you is just 2 or 3 of those things, but you can start using that straight away. Okay, so that's the external stuff. Now, I want to go over the internal stuff. Now, I'm not going to get into too much of the technicalities of this because really and truly, I'm going to ask you to get a copy of the book at the end of this webinar because it's all contained in here and I don't want to go hoarse explaining it all. And, I want you to just be able to decide for yourself if this is for you or not. Because all very well to listen to Vincent and think he's great, and it makes sense, but you have to make up your own mind as well. So I'll be promoting this book to you in a few minutes. Okay. Okay. Okay, so Dianetics and how to find and clear up this bad stuff from the past. Is done with 2 people. I'm sorry to tell you. You cannot do this on your own. You cannot do it on your own. In order to clear out this stuff, from your past, to find it and fully clear it out, there's a 10-step procedure in the Dianetics book. It's book 3, chapter 5 within the book. There's 3 books in the one book. And there are 10 steps to the procedure that you use on each incident. You've got the person who's listening, who's called the auditor. The person who listens. Audire means to listen or to hear. And you've got the person who's receiving it. It's called the pre-clear. Pre means before, and clear is basically you having more of a clear mind. And what it's based on the auditor asking the question, the pre-clear returning to the incident that happened, and the auditor using that 10-step procedure on the incident through communication. By the way, this person is wide awake. They've got their eyes closed, but they're wide awake. And the result of that is the pain goes away. Okay? Pain gone. Emotional and physical pain. Do you get rid of the memory? No. It happened to you. But you get rid of the pain that is keeping you trapped in the past. This is the primary reason for burnout. Past negative incidents getting triggered because of life problems. Yes, life is posing problems. Bills, families, problems at work, problems with your health. These things are present problems, but they are triggering past mental and physical pain. And that is what is happening here. And this is the solution. Now, sometimes you run this procedure on this one and it doesn't handle it. When that occurs, it always means that there's an earlier, similar incident. And you continue on until you get to the basic incident on the chain, and that's where your answer is. So, Dianetics and the approach used in Dianetics is not coaching, it's not advice, it's the auditor listening and guiding. That's it. When you run this procedure on this, you're looking at different chains of incidents and you're clearing them up. And as you do, life becomes better. Your vitality improves and you become more hopeful and positive about the future. I'm telling you that after 30 years worth of experience in helping people on this and in seeing the results from this subject. This may not have the most fancy name. We might not have fireworks and like magic wands to show you, to impress you. But when you look at the book and you start reading the book, you'll find that it's very practical and it just shows you what to do and it will make sense. Last thing. If you don't handle this, what happens is this. Every time one of these incidents gets triggered, a new incident is added to the chain and the reactive mind gets bigger. And the longer you leave it to address it, the harder it gets. Why? Because you sink down the emotional scale into apathy. And you think, you know what? That's just who I am. That's where I am like now from now on. I'll plan for my retirement and I'll become 60 soon enough and then 70 and then 80 and then that's it. Life is not about death. It's not about preparing for death. Life is not about setting yourself up to die. Life is about living. And this is about helping you to recover from the past. Helping you to uncover the negative incidents that have happened to you and deal with them properly. And what we do here is we do seminars and courses to help people, and we twin people up so that you can find an auditor. So if you think, Vincent, there's nobody in my family that I could help, that I could get to help me with this, we can help you with that. Okay. Now, before we wrap up, I want to show you the book. There's a special offer on tonight, and ask if you have any questions. And before I get into that, Nick, I get stressed if I'm tired, I'm not able to put the time to do my writing work that I need to do. Very good. Thank you very much, Mick. External things, problems coming in and triggering stuff. Okay, very good. So if you have any questions, please pop them into the chat. I want to take this opportunity to promote this book to you now and tell you about the special offer, okay? So here it is. It's going to show on your screen in just a moment. Okay, so here's the book. It's called Dianetics. The word Dianetics means through the mind, the modern science of mental health. And this is based on the traditional method of helping another person through communication, not through drugs or any fancy stuff. So, learn how to permanently resolve the effects of losses and traumas from your past, lack of self-esteem, anxiety and nervousness, negative thoughts and emotions, and how to regain your full potential. And it's been translated into 50 languages. I believe you can get this book in Zulu if you wanted it. And the shipping is free. Okay, if you get the book tonight, you get this booklet with it called Solutions for a Dangerous Environment, free. There are 7 or 8 tools that you can apply to your life on an immediate basis. There's a free online course that goes with this booklet. So you can go through the booklet, send in your lessons, and we will correct them so you can understand everything as you're going along, so that you can apply the information. So if you get the Dianetics book before 10 o'clock tonight, the booklet is going to be included for free, and there's going to be a link going up in the chat now for that, for anybody who's interested. And I really strongly recommend get yourselves a copy of it. It'll help you. Okay, summary for tonight. I don't see any questions coming in, but if you do, quickly pop in a question. I might ask anybody at the end if you have any questions for me. Burnout. Usually, people associate it with working too hard or being overwhelmed by stuff or having too much pressure. These are definitely factors that contribute to it, but they are not the cause. The cause has to do with your past and buried incidents from your past getting re-triggered and replayed continuously. This is why it's hard for you to permanently get on top of it. You're fine for a couple of weeks and you're back down again. Great for a few weeks, you're back down again, you go for a massage, you feel great, the next day you're down again. That's because of this reactive mind that keeps triggering off without your consent. The sooner you handle that reactive mind, the happier you are going to feel. And personally, I'm not a sales guy, I'm a technical guy, I'm a trained auditor myself. I've helped many, many people. I do this to help individuals. I promote the books because education is the first step. Get yourself educated, decide for yourself what you think, make up your mind, and if you want to pursue it and follow it up, contact me and I'll set you up with an auditor. Or you can do a seminar, or you can receive professional auditing, or you can just learn how to do it yourself. All right? So, before we wrap up, if anybody's any questions, please pop them into the chat. I'm going to give it like 30 seconds, and then we are going to conclude. While I'm concluding, I will say thank you to everybody on Facebook who has been watching this webinar, on YouTube and on Instagram. And as I see no more questions coming in, I want to thank everybody on Zoom who's left here. We've got 4 survivors. Mick, thank you so much for being here and consistently at the webinars. It's great to see you. Thank you. Okay. All right. And thank you, Donna, for being here. Andrea and Vivian. Great to have you on board. Thank you for staying with me till the end. Hope to see you at the future in webinars. Get yourselves a copy of the book, and if you need any help, let me know. Okay, folks, good night to you all. You're very welcome, Andrea. You're very welcome, Donna. Have a beautiful rest of your evening. Bye for now.